G'day everybody, David Craven here. We're in the ScotPac office in Sydney, Martin Place in Sydney. I'm a Senior Business Development Manager for ScotPac. Beside me here I've got Robbie Gruhl from G&H, who's kindly made himself available to come in. How are you, Robbie?
Good, mate. Thanks for having me.
Maybe for a bit of context, I mean, you and I have known each other getting on for 10 to 15 years, I would say.
Made some memories.
Yeah. Mate, do you want to tell us a bit about G&H and where you guys are in the market?
Yeah, fantastic. So I admit it, I'm the National Broker Manager. We specialise in harder to place transactions. They might be harder to place due to an industry subsector or just the intricacies of the transaction. We've been going for about 16 years. We've worked with ScotPac for probably 10 of those years.
Yep.
We've done a lot of work with you guys, both in the trade and debtor space and now in the asset finance space.
Yeah, so one of our longest supporters, really.
And I had hair when we started.
Yes, so did
you.
So just to elaborate a little bit on G&H in terms of the types of facilities you help your clients with, is it pretty much all cash flow or what else do you guys do?
We do a lot of asset because the nature of transactions, there's a lot more assets acquired, right? Yep. So just by sheer nature of transactions, we do a lot of asset. But in regards to volume, we find we get a lot more volume in the trade, the debtor, and the working capital space. Okay. They're larger transactions. They're generally more intricate. Yep. You've got to get a much better understanding of the customer's requirements. What the long-term goal is. You don't want to be providing them with a product that's not going to work for them as they move forward because, well, you're just not helping the client. So transactions, asset, but volume-wise, we do a lot of working capital, cash flow, debtor finance.
Great, yeah. And that really sits in ScotPac's wheelhouse. So, our range of products has increased gradually in the 8 years that I've been here. So now we can really cover the majority of that, pretty much all the assets on the balance sheet of an SME and try and find some way to help them raise some cash and capital and help them take advantage of business opportunities. Which leads us to this client recently that you've referred to us. So
long-term client, been a client of mine for probably 7 or 8 years. When they started with me, they were turning over a couple $1 million construction, but I need to be clear on that, construction services, not actual builders. And as their business grew, I went from being their broker for asset acquisition, utes, trucks, a bit of that sort of thing, to plant equipment, manufacturing equipment. They approached me to get a working capital solution. As they'd grown, they just needed access to more cash. We had a look at a whole heap of different options for them. The directors were asset backed, and there's always a director's property. I'm not personally a big fan of directors putting their properties on the line. I think the business should stand on its own balance sheet. I had a look at their balance sheet. I had a look at their receivables ledger because we get a receivables ledger on every client because it is an asset that you can fund. Yep. And I sat down with a client and identified that the receivables ledger was actually something that had equity in it. And I proposed to them debtor finance. I just felt that, their invoices were clearly receivable. I'm a big fan of using the receivables ledger for debtor or invoice finance because of the way it revolves. I've seen too many clients go and take out a facility, whether it be a bank or a traditional lender, and they draw the facility and it just sits on the balance sheet as a debt, not as an asset. So this particular client needed to buy a ton of stock in a hurry. They knew that their business was going to grow as they continued servicing these clients, so they needed a facility that would grow as their turnover grew, which ScotPac offered them with invoice and debtor finance. And the way the facility just revolved really was pertinent to the way the client managed their cash flow. And here we are now with some pretty happy clients.
Why ScotPac, mate? Why you brought this opportunity to us?
There's a few different reasons. We at G&H are a big fan of matching a client to a lender. We will look at the client and what they need, and then we'll look at the lender and what they offer. And there are certain lenders that specialise in hard to place or distress. There are certain lenders that specialise. ScotPac's offered a really good fit for a client of that size. The size was over a couple of mil, so it was the right sort of size for ScotPac in my opinion. I knew at some point there would be a requirement for asset finance, and obviously the broad suite of products helps with that, whereas not all your competitors help with that. Clients are really good blokes, and I needed a cultural fit. and that's a real thing. I have had clients that have gone to lenders and just culturally they haven't fit, especially with a product that is as sticky or touchy as yours with clients. Yeah. So it fit.
No, that's good. And to your point around our range of products means that we've already got security in place.
Yep.
You know, if it is a simple case of buying new machinery or a new delivery vehicle, you know, we can make that happen a lot easier.
Pretty simple.
A lot of that necessary requirement for security registration and stuff already taken care of.
Yeah,
so,
and 2/3 of the credit's done.
That's right.
So, you know, as opposed to taking it out and going through a full credit committee again and, you know, 6-8 weeks, yep. I can just call you and go, this is what they're doing moving forward, and you can service it. One of the reasons we're here today, the client's looking at doing a property and a couple other consolidations. I approached a bank to do that because the business had grown to that size, and this is what the client instructed me to do. The bank wanted to take a whole of wallet approach, and I sat down with the client as their advisor, as their broker, and said, you know, this is what the bank's proposing, and the client made it very, very clear that they didn't want to leave ScotPac. Without ScotPac, they wouldn't have been in the position that they are today. So they were willing to work with the bank on every other part of the transaction, but they weren't willing to leave ScotPac, and that landed me a seat in your office after telling you the story. But the client is very, very happy. Originally, we only used ScotPac for debtor and invoice finance. As the product suite grew, we became big supporters of the asset finance, and we write a fair bit of that. Yep. You obviously have your SPL or your business loans product now. It's a really broad suite. I know I can come down here if I need to and have a chat to someone and work a deal through. I know I can trust my clients will be in good hands, and I'm not going to lose my clients. And if there is an issue, I know that I can actually call someone and get it resolved rather than just calling a 1-800 number or something similar.
All right. Thanks, Rob.
Cheers, Dave.
Bye now.